Today I want to talk about hints and signs from your loved one. I remember when me and my sister first started talking, Vanessa Padilla, uh, she kept saying, "Oh, I need a sign from Justin. Justin, please give me a sign. Please just let me know you're okay," and all that kind of stuff. So then she asked me, it's like, what are some signs that I can know that Justin here? I said, well, he'll come in your dreams, and sometimes you will find things what you've been looking for many a years, and it be in a spot way you check every week when you clean the house, and then all of a sudden it just pop up. I say also the light blinks on and off, and there's nothing wrong with your electricity or nothing or the bulb. Or you'll get phone calls with nothing on the caller ID because they manipulate electricity. You know what I mean? You get sometimes you just sitting there and hair stand up on your arm because they radiant of, it just like static electricity. Sometimes the hair stand up on your head. You see, sometimes when you got a cat and there's nobody home but you and the cat, and that cat get a hump in their back and their hair stand up, he looking at something. They can see what we can't see. The dog do the same thing, man. But the main thing I told him, I say lots of people say butterflies, or lots of people say robins, or blue jays, and I say, but with me, it's feathers. I say for a long time, I lived by myself, 15 to 20 years. One day I come from work, got on the bed, it was a feather, a small white puffy feather. So I went to looking online to see what birds in Florida with little white puppy feathers. I know eagles. We got them on the job. They feather is hard, like a duck feather. They got white feather, but they long, hard feather. I was looking for a little tiny, white, fluffy feathers. Well, no birds in Florida with that. So I was puzzled. How a feather get in my house and this feather don't exist in Florida? I live by myself. My dojo open up 6 times a day. That 5:30 in the morning or 5 o'clock when I go to work. It's 3 o'clock when I come home. Then 8 o'clock when I let puppy back in. And then the puppy got to use the bathroom before, we go to bed around, 10 or 11. I let him out. He run use the bathroom and run back out. That's 4 times. That was my average time for opening up the door. And when I open up my door, I'm right there. There ain't no bird been in my house. You know what I mean? So I find that shocking. Then I went to work, come back home again. When I sat on the bed to go to sleep, it was another feather. I'm like, what's going on here? In the same spot. I got the feather, I put it put it in one of my dresser drawers because to me, they good luck, right? But then the amazing thing happened. When I went to bed that night, I changed my linens, pillowcase, everything. Go in the kitchen, Got a little something to snack on. And when I went back in there to go to bed, it was another feather in the same spot. And I just stopped and went to praying. And then I went to talking to my angels and ancestors and their loved ones. Because normally I feel a vibe by who it is. Well, I couldn't feel no vibe. But I did feel an awakening, holiness. Because when I saw that feather again, remind you, I just changed the bed linen. Ain't no bird in my house, and that feather was laying in the same spot. I know right then it was an angel or something, or a dead loved one. And they just want to let you know you're not alone. You're not alone. But the amazing thing happened with my sister, Vanessa Padillas. She said, I need a sign. And I was telling her about the feather and stuff. And one thing I found out about her, whatever she eye guard for, and it weird, I'm going to make another video about that. She get it right then. And I'm looking back at her, right? I said, man, everything this lady eye for, she get it right then. Not the next week, within 1 to 3 days. Now, after me and her were talking about the feather, right? About 3 days later, she said, I don't know whether this was a sign or not. I said, what you mean? She said, I took pictures of it. So, in video, and I'm like, what you mean? She said it was one feather when I was walking my dog. And then I started seeing feathers everywhere. They were everywhere. They covered the ground like snow. I said, that weird. And you ain't hear no bird fighting? She said, no. I said, go and see, can you see a dead bird somewhere? Maybe an animal caught a bird. And she said, David, it had to be a lots of bird because feathers are everywhere. Everywhere. All in my front yard, all on the pathway I walk the dog. And I say, well, Nelson, that's a sign. That's a sign. Then she talked to me the next day. She said, well, I got some pictures. I think it's a sign. Because Justin say, he'll come back visit me as a robin, a red robin or something, you know what I mean? And she showed me the 2 pictures of the red robins, right? And she approaching the robins, they won't run. You know, robin run quick, and the blue jay, they run quick. They don't play around. And she said, they won't run, David. They won't run. I said, that's a sign. I say, every time I see a robin or a blue jay, a red robin or a blue jay, I say, I get chills all over my body because to me, they spiritual. You know, they spiritual. Just like a crow. You know what I mean? Most people say crow bring messages from your dead loved ones. You know, they'll follow you and they just want to get your attention and that your dead loved one. But anyway, if you go to seeing feathers around your house and you know you ain't got no bird, somebody on the other side care about you a lot. And you need to absorb that in and appreciate that gift. Because you know no bird is in your house. Thank you, and God bless.